Maggot Boob. I'm doing a rotation for intermediate school at Valley Hospital. The difference this time is that Adam, another student from my class, has signed up with me. I like doing rotations solo. That way, if anything interesting comes in, I don't have to share. If it's a doctor that likes to teach, they might just as easily offer the skill to the other student instead of me. Especially on a night like tonight, when the grossest thing ever was about to come through the ER doors. I didn't know what it was yet, but the nurses and doctors weren't gathering like they usually do after the telemetry. This time, they were putting on level 1 protective gear, gowns, gloves, and goggles. Level 1 gear means full protection, a long-sleeve waterproof smock that covers from the neck to the knees and out to the wrists, with sterile gloves long enough to cover the sleeves so nothing can get on you through them either. Apparently, we all need shoe and hair covers this time, and the sterile mask with the face shields attached. Whatever it is, it's about to happen, because everybody isn't going to stand around like this for very long. Their time is too valuable. It's very exciting. The patient was being wheeled into the hospital ER, past the food machines with the White Castle burgers. From there, it's a left past 4 rooms, and the crew was sliding her onto the hospital gurney now. But I still couldn't understand why we are in level 1 gear. The crew disconnected their equipment and stepped away. The hospital staff stepped in and reconnected her to theirs. They transferred the IV bag to their pole and cut her shirt and pajama bottoms off. A risky move for field personnel. It was about 2 a.m. and this lady, heart rate 112, blood pressure 106/74, respiratory rate 22, O2 97, blood sugar 84, temp 102, was fading in and out of consciousness, but never really alert or awake enough to be aware of the situation. Adam had followed the crew into the room and started putting on the protective gear I set aside for him. But nobody really seemed to know what the problem was or why we are in this gear. The paramedic that brought the patient in was giving his report to a nurse sort of off to the side when he noticed all of us staring at him. He said we should look under the paper towel, pointed at it, and in a country hick accent added, "Go on, cowboy." Everybody looked back. Why didn't any of us notice the paper towel stuck to her boob before he said that? Weird. The lady had a dry, crusty paper towel stuck to her right boob. The right boob wasn't the same size or shape as the left either. It was shorter, smaller, closer to the body, but still bulging into the towel. The towel had been there for so long, the serosanguinous, watery, blood-colored fluid that leaves crystals when it dries made a scab-tight seal that kept whatever was going on behind the paper towel sealed in there. Tonight's show is going to be a good one. We were in level 1 gear. Come on, cowboy. Let's do this. The doctor is standing on the patient's left side and reaching across for the paper towel. Time slowed as he did. He reached slowly for it. Slowly got a piece of it between his fingers. Slowly pulled down, trying to peel it away, and no good. It was stuck there so tightly, it slipped from between his fingers. Time and noise returned to normal, and now he is ready for the required effort. This time the doctor tugs hard enough that we could hear the towel tear from her skin. It only peeled back about halfway, but that was enough for the maggots to start spilling out. Oh, maggots! That's why we're in this gear. Gunshots, stabbings, you could even eat your own shit, throw it up, rub it on yourself, and the most an ER nurse will do is pour a bag of coffee grounds onto a plate and leave it on the overbed tray next to you. Nothing works better than coffee to absorb and disguise your smells. But this was different. Apparently 2 handfuls of maggots spilling out from a boob is way worse, and for the first and only time in my career, I saw the ER staff lose their always cool under pressure attitude. Some laughed nervously, others gagged, and most everybody turned away because I was about to step forward into the open space when Adam stole the opportunity. Adam pulled me back a step by my sleeve, and while pulling himself forward past me and into the spot I was headed for, suddenly Adam was standing across from the doctor instead of me. That fuck. And this is exactly why I hate sharing rotations. The doctor asked Adam to scoop up the maggots instead of asking me. Then, when the doctor leaned the patient forward, Adam got to peel the rest of the towel away and scoop up the rest of the maggots. Lucky, right? I was jealous. Then Adam helped the doctor flush and pack the boob with sterile gauze before bandaging and securing it with tape, while I watched in jealous amazement. The lady, heart rate 110, blood pressure 104/74, respiratory rate 22, O2 96, temp 102, never regained consciousness, and the doctor intubated her because she would have to be transferred upstairs where she would die 2 days later. The escort... The lady, heart rate 110, blood pressure 104/74, respiratory rate 22, O2 96, temp 102, never regained consciousness, and the doctor intubated her because she would have to be transferred upstairs where she would die 2 days later. They escorted the guy who came in with her out to the waiting room. He was quietly watching from behind the curtain the whole time. We try to let families stay if they're quiet and let us do our job. If you're a bother, you're out. And now we started taking the protective gear off. Adam is very pleased with himself. He unties his face mask and pulls it off. Then he wipes the sweat off his head before reaching behind his neck and untying the smock. He pulls it down, takes his glasses out of his shirt pocket, and puts them on. He scratches his head and fluffs his hair with both hands, then unties the back of his smock and pulls it all off and tosses it in the biohazard bin, before proudly walking on to the next patient. By happenstance, they showed us a safety video in paramedic school the next day, and what do you think the topic was? Yep, how to properly put on and take off level 1 safety gear. When the video got to the point where it told us to take off our gloves first, so we don't contaminate ourselves with whatever the patient has, it took a second for it all to sink in. I watched it happen too, from the back corner where I always sit, as he slowly realized that he wiped his face, put on his glasses, and rubbed his head with those nasty maggot-covered gloves. He looked down at his hands, then slowly turned round to find me smiling at him. So I flashed him a pair of birds and yelled, "Shouldn't have sneaked past me, dick!" The teacher stopped teaching and sarcastically asked if I was finished, then went back to his lecture. In paramedic school, no one gets worked up over the nonsense. And sometimes doing a rotation with another person is totally worth it. Maggot Boob.